go. So, welcome everyone again for the opportunity to discuss Srimad Bhagavatam. And we discussed Lord Krishna's mercy and his bewildering activities. We discussed how he took birth, how he lived in Braja, out of the fear of the enemy, and how he's all-powerful. And Uddhava also remembered the magnanimous qualities of the Lord, the mercy he's shown to Shishupal and so on. And we discussed a lot of other things. So let's make a recap, everyone. We'd like to hear everyone speak. The other students are not here. They're joining.
Yeah, we're expecting them to join. I don't know why they're late. But hopefully they will come in soon.
Okay. Okay, so let's hear from you. What is the things that you were really touched by? Things you remember, things that connect?
Okay, maybe I start.
Yes,
one of the significant things I learned in the yesterday's study was how this supreme mercy of the Supreme Lord overshadows the fear that we develop in our heart due to circumstances. And also, we talked about how the Lord is never afraid, although he seemingly exhibits some restraint in acting in particular way or symptoms just for the purpose of his pastimes. As we learned that he had an Easter Goshti with Yoga Maya to act in some particular way to facilitate his pastimes. So those two, I think I remember. I'll leave the remaining to other devotees.
Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna,
Yes,
Prabhuji.
yes, sure.
Yeah, yesterday we learned that Manu's each day in life of Brahma, each day of Brahma. So that calculation also we learned. It was around 405,000 Manus in each day of Brahma. So,
504,000.
504,000, yes.
Yeah.
So you show us the calculation also how it was, like there is a 14 Manus. Then the calculation was like 14 times 30, then 12 hours, and then 100 days.
Yes.
So that makes
100 years, 12 months. It was 30 months. Days, 12 30 days. Months 12 to months. 1 year, and by 1,000 for the year.
100 days.
100, yeah, 100.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was like we showed, we learn also the principal potencies of the Lord, Chit Shakti, Maya Shakti, and Tatastha Shakti.
That's very good.
Yes.
Anything else? There's plenty we remember. You see, one devotee mentioned this one thing, then immediately we remember. We talked about the free sets of frees. Can anyone talk about the sets of frees?
Come again, Prabhu. The sets of three. Okay. Prabhu.
Yeah, this.
Okay.
The sets of trees. The sets of trees. We talk of the three Purusha Advataras. We talk of the three words. This in the the lower planetary systems, the higher planetary systems, and the middle planetary systems. And we also talk again about the three worlds, Mahesh Dham, Devi Dham, and Hari Dham.
Yes.
And then, yes, for the meantime, these are the two three I can remember.
Three modes of nature.
Three modes
Three
of
types of
nature.
energy.
Yes, three types of energy.
Three types of spiritual energy.
Yeah.
Satit and Ananda.
And then
Yes.
three
guna avatars, and so on.
Yes. Yes.
Right. Okay. Some other things. What about the impeccable character of Krishna? The high standard of the Lord's character. Madhuban, Prabhu, you remember? How he awards mercy even to the impersonalist. He even awards mercy to the those who are inimical, see him as an enemy. He awards them liberation, like Shishupal. Yes, go on. We want to catch up these things. And we talked about Krishna's impeccable character, his mercy, his incredible mercy. And then we also talked about, you can sit here. And we can also open the windows. Yeah. And also we talked about the incredible mercy that he's shown to to Putana, given the position of Lebe Gatim Dhatim Uchitam Tatonyam. And what verse is that? 3-23. 3-23. We discussed that. So I think you should remember.
Is it 3-2-23 or 3-2-24? My note I have 3-2-24.
3-2-23.
Oh, thank you.
It's 23.
Okay.
It's in front of you in your Bhagavatam.
Yeah,
We discussed.
23.
Okay.
Sorry.
Krishna also is first time. Hi Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, Madhuban.
So another spectacular character of Krishna. He enjoys when even though he's the maintainer of everyone, but he also enjoys when he's made a subordinate and the father tried to protect him, just as the situation when Vasudeva took him to cancer out of fear, out of fear of cancer, when he carried him to Vrindavan. So the Lord enjoys it, even though he has no fear for cancer, but he enjoyed the pastimes when the father was afraid. So it's part of his extraordinary activity also.
Yes, okay. So we also discussed text 25 and 26, where Krishna was born to Vasudeva and Devaki at the request of Lord Brahma for the welfare of the universe. And remember that connection we talked about, where do the demigods go? Headed by Lord Brahma to make a request to reestablish order. I want an answer.
They go to Svetabib.
Okay, very good.
At the Milk Ocean.
And where is that? It's actually like an embassy. It's like a section of the material universe beyond Brahmalok, the Svetadvip. Beyond Brahmalok, the Svetadvip. And the Lord is there. But there, the incarnation of that Lord Vishnu in there is actually the Guna avatar. He's a Guna avatar or the Shirorakshai Vishnu. He's a maintainer. Lord Brahma, he creates. Lord Shiva, he destroys. Lord Vishnu, he maintains. So as a maintainer, he's Shirodakshai Vishnu, but he's also the Guna avatar. He's in charge of the Guna. So because he has his superintendency, his control is in this material creation, he stays there. He stays. And then when different personalities go to meet him, then he says, I will incarnate. to establish such and such order. I will appear as, the son of Devaki and Vasudeva. And I will appear as Lord Ramachandra. I will appear. I will do this. I will do that. So that's where they go to, and they chant Purusha Sukta. So please be careful and be aware about this. It's a very nice point. Okay. So Kamalaksha Prabhu, welcome. And so can you remember what we discussed? Are you okay?
Yeah, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Sharika.
The explanation you just re-emphasized now about the position of Vishnu in the taking the form of incarnation for the purpose of the controlling of the three gunas. Kavi Kanapura made this mention yesterday, and you explained how we should be satisfied with Srila Prabhupada's explanation about the position of the living entities, or the origin of the living entities.
Yes.
Yeah, but maybe I wanted to reiterate something. Basically, this position, this particular place, you said it's like an embassy. So can that be considered to be spiritual world or part of the material world?
Even if it is spiritual world, even if it is, the point is, the jiva exists much before that. It's anadi.
Yeah, that is not, I'm not in controversy about that.
And he could have been in different other universes also. So no, I don't think that's the answer to the question. No, because that's already being in the material world. That's already being in the material world. And how come when someone comes into the body of Lord Vishnu, he is actually in the material world already, and he's ready for being recycled into the cycle of birth and death through the cycle of creation. That's a different matter altogether. That two Siddhanta, I don't see any parallel, and it doesn't come, there's no junction between these two Siddhantas. And also I have resolved my mind on it, because I have heard many years, but it doesn't make any difference to me. And I'm not inclined at all to resolve this litigatory.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't even either myself also. I don't have issues by contention.
Oh, but you just yeah, okay, yeah, I get your point. I get your point.
The point I'm trying to make is that particular location where Vishnu is that position, that particular place, is it part of the spiritual world or material world? That's the only thing I wanted to.
Yeah. No, that's a different thing.
Okay.
It's not an integral part. It's hard to understand these things also. And you will see in the 8th canto, there's a mention of a Vaikuntha planet existing within the material universe. It's called Karya Vaikuntha, where apparently, so we will come to that. So Kamalaksha Prabhu, can you connect to what we discussed? Anything Krishna we discussed last week? And I'm going to make that a regular exercise. And now all of us sitting here, we know what we discussed.
Yes, Prabhu. All glory to you, Hare Krishna. You talked about the manus, that it have 504 manus. In the day of Brahman, you have 40 manus, and 4,000 manus in the year of Lord Brahma.
Yes, very good. We talked about the manus, yes. Some things we didn't touch on here. Anyone can remember the things that we didn't discuss, we didn't present? Anyway, at least you remembered most of the things. So what about we discussed at length liberation, the kind of liberation and why they give this kind of liberation. But anyway, that's also, but then also we discussed 2 verses. There are 2 famous verses that caused the transformation of Suta Goswami from a Jnani approached Bhakta to a full Mahabhagavad. And what was that?
Is it Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 2, Text 23,
Yeah, that's in front of us. Yes.
Yes, special verse, and Canto 10, chapter 21, text 5.
And what does the other verse describe? The 10:25.
The Rupa Madhuri, the sweetness of Lord Krishna.
Yes, the Rupa Madhuri, the sweet beauty of Lord Krishna, which actually transformed the heart of Sukadeva Swami. He said, "Oh, I didn't know," because he was completely blissed out in Brahman. But I did not know that something is so beautiful that can disturb my peace in Brahman. So, and what verse did we relate to that?
Canto 10, 21, text 5.
Yes, there's a particular explanation of how Atmaramas become disturbed by the qualities related to Krishna in Srimad Bhagavatam. It's called the verse that explained by Lord Chaitanya in 64 different ways. Atmaramascha munnayor nirgante apyurukrume kurvanti mahetukim bhakti mitambuto guno hari. The Atmaramas, they're completely fixed in Ananda because they're self-satisfied, deriving pleasure from their soul. Right? This is a very important verse in Srimad Bhagavatam, and it has maybe 4 or 5 long pages of purport by Srila Prabhupada. So Atmarama verse, and no self-respecting devotee can forget Atmarama verse. Atmaramas chamunnayor nirgante apyurukrume kurvanti mahitukim bhakti mitambuto guno hari. And the examples are these two personalities. Shukadeva Goswami heard these 2 verses, the description of the Supreme Lord, Rupa Madhuri, and the kindness of the Supreme Lord in this Ahobakiyam Sthanakala Kuttam. His mind became completely bewildered in ecstasy. And he said, are there more of this kind of verses describing a person? Does a person like that exist? They said, yes, he does exist. He said, where can I hear more verses? He said, from your father. So he went back. This is what made him go back to Vyasadeva. And he read. He enrolled in the University of Lord Vyasadeva, and he studied Srimad Bhagavatam under him. That's the 2 verses. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Please tell us the 2 verses again. I want to write it down.
3 to 23. Ahobakiyam stanakala kuttam. It's in front of you. You've been reading Bhagavatam. We just discussed this verse last time. Mercy given to Putana. Krishna gave the position of motherly nurse, Dhatri Uchitonyam, to the envious, Chigam Shaya, and the unfaithful, Ashadhavi. Putana, she's a Baki, she's a witch, who came to kill him with a poisoned breast, Thanakala Kuttam. So he said, how shall I not take shelter of one more merciful than him? He's so merciful that even though she was a witch, a Baki, he was Thanakala Kuttam, poisoned breast, wanted to kill Krishna, right? And he offered her mercy. And what? Lebe gatim dhatri uchitam. Dhatri uchitam. Elevated her, uchitam. Elevated her to the position of dhatri, mother. Right? That's the standard of character. His mercy. But first he heard about the beauty. Badhapi dannatavara which is 10, 25, 10. What is it, Rashavan Prabhu?
10, 21, 5.
10, 21, 5. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu.
Okay, and the Atmarama verse in relationship to this free discussion of this bit of philosophy, the Atmarama verse. Okay, so you can connect it all together, my friends. So Atmarama verse, the point is, Atmarama verse 1343. What is it? Anyone can check Atmarama. Let's connect it all. This is Bhakti Vaibhava. Okay, Atmarama verse, the 61 explanations of the Atmarama verse. It is summarized in the purport by Srila Prabhupada. Here it is. Okay, and it is also part of Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, text 24. I mean, look at this. Are you with me? Let me share. Okay, you make me host.
You can share, Prabhu. You can share.
No, you and disabled in screen sharing.
You can share, Prabhu. I've given you codes.
No, host disabled participant screen sharing.
Oh, sorry, it went off. Maybe the network.
Okay.
I did it before. Okay, you can do that.
All right. Okay, there it is. This is Chaitanya Charitamrita, the 61 explanations of the Atmarama verse. Look at that. This whole chapter dedicated to explaining the Atmarama verse. And this is incredible. And the well-known Atmarama verse is one 710. Okay.
And please, the Chaitanya Charitamrita, where the 61 verses are explaining Atmarama, where can we get it?
Madhya Lila chapter 24. Okay. Okay, and here is Atmarama verse 1710. Look at that. Look at the purport. Can you see? Long purport. So please read that again. You've already done 1710. So I am a little bit surprised when you did that 1710, which obviously was probably part of your first or second unit. There was example given here also of how Atmaramas become completely enamored by hearing the transcendental qualities of the Supreme Lord. And let me read this here for you. Here it is in blue. Can you see?
Yeah.
Great sages, such as the 4 bachelor devotees, were attracted by the fragrance of flower and tulasi leaves, anointed with the pulp of sandalwood, offered at the lotus feet of the Lord. Right? So when they actually get the perfume of the chandan and the tulasi offered to the lotus feet of the Lord, right? The 4 sages who approached Vaikuntha, they completely transformed. They were into jnana, but they became Mahabhagavat. Here it is said. And this verse, these great sages here, right? Right here. This is in 3rd canto, chapter 15. You have to tie it up together. This is Bhakti Vaibhava, my dear devotees. This is 3rd canto, 15th chapter, and text 43, where the breeze carrying the aroma of tulasi leaves from the Lord's lotus feet. So they were Jnani Bhakta, just like Shukdev Goswami. They were situated in Brahman, but had no vision, understanding, or attraction of the Supreme Lord. But they were completely free from Rajagun, Tamagun, Sattvagun. They were in the transcendental Brahman realized platform. But they did not know about the positive qualities of the Lord. So as they approached Vaikuntha at the 7th door, they got stopped by Jai and Vijay. And what happened? This is what happened. Tasyara vinda nayanasya padara vinda kinjal kamishra tulasi makaranda vayu antargata savivarena chakaratesham shakshubhamaksharam jushamapichita tanvo. It's free 1543. When the breeze carrying the aroma of the tulsi leaves from the Lord's lotus feet entered the sage's nostrils, the experience changed in body and mind, even though they were attached to the impersonal Brahman understanding. So the Kumaras, they saw, they got the perfume of the tulasi and the Lord's lotus feet together. Kinjalka Mishra Tulasi Makaranda Vayu. So they transformed. And how does Sukadeva Goswami transform here? Sukadeva Goswami was already in liberated stage, yet he was attracted by the pastimes of the Lord. This proves that the quality of his pastimes have nothing to do with material affinity. Okay, and how was he attracted? Because he heard these two verses. Now another story is in that purport. Rukmini was attracted to the Lord. Rukmini had not seen the Lord. Rukmini was attracted to the Lord. How? By this beautiful love letter that was sent by the Brahmana to Rukmini in Maharashtra, when she was being arranged to have been married to Rukma or something. Yeah, Shishupal's something. Okay, so some person. So, but she was already attracted to the lotus feet of the Lord by having heard about the wonderful qualities of the Supreme Lord. So, do you have any questions or comments on this?
Hare Krishna. Yeah, I think, like I've said before, you hear same thing from different speaker, it makes different meaning. So maybe the depth of, because ultimately what I can realize from what you're just saying is that the depth of realization is dependent also on the depth of the realization of the teacher, because it is not just speaking, it is about the realization in the heart of the person speaking, because you can't give what you don't have. So when the teacher also realization is not deep enough, it affects the level of the assimilation of the student. Of course, it is both ways, both students and teachers.
Yeah, this is also pretty standard lecture. This is a pretty well-known examples of transformation of Jnana Bhaktas into. If you go back to Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, text 17. Tesham Jnani Nitya Yukta Eka Bhakti Vishishyate. So chapter 7, we go back to 15, 16, and then 17. Let's go through this. Okay, and right, 17. Bhagavad Gita 17. So you know the two verses, 15, 16. 4 categories of rascals don't surrender, 4 categories of devotees do surrender. But then Krishna makes a very special point about the Jnani Bhaktas. So there's 4 categories who approach him because they're motivated. Artha Tati Jigyasu. If you don't understand, please raise your hand. I will go over it again. Okay, in Bhagavad Gita, all Bhakti Shastri students should know this. We have done chapter 7, text 15, which explains 4 categories of nonsense people who don't surrender to Krishna. Then 4 categories of devotees with motivation to surrender to Krishna. Artha, Arthati, Jigyasu. Right? Chatur Vidha Bhajante Mam Jana Sukritana Arjuna. Arthati Jigyasu Jnani Cha Bharatarshava. So there's one who is in miserable condition, one who wants riches, one who is inquisitive, and one who has true knowledge. And then, therefore, he says that in 17. So it says, Jnani cha bharatarshava, and who is searching for knowledge of the absolute. In text 16, Krishna explains that. But then he says, but of these 4, Tesham, he says, Tesham Jnani Nitya Yukta Eka Bhaktir Vishishyate. Priyohi Jnanino Atyartham Aham Cha Samam Priya. Of these, the one who is in full knowledge and who is always engaged in pure devotional service is the best. Of one who is in knowledge, Who was in knowledge? What does knowledge mean? Right? They may have so many different types of knowledge, but they may not be engaged in devotional service. Shukadeva Goswami has so much knowledge. And the four Kumaras had so much knowledge. But what tipped the balance for them is when they hear about the qualities of the Lord, their mind completely get absorbed, change, and they become top-class Mahabhagavad devotees. This is what it means. Tesham Gyani Nitya Yukta Eka Bhaktir Shishyati. Because they are purified. They are not, they go, so by association, if your devotee is inquisitive, they distress the seeker. After material amelioration and the main subject, all become themselves pure. But in the preparatory stage, the man who is in full knowledge of the Supreme and is at the same time executing devotional service is very dear. So these are the Mahabhagavad. So, okay. All right. So this we've discussed. Now, this section is quite complete. Pastimes in Braja. I will now read text 26. So we've made a good recap of everything. We've gone through everything that we've done. And now we will read text 26. Okay, text 26. Tato nandavrajam itta pitra kamshad vibhibhyatha ekadasha samastatra kurtachi salabhalo shabhalo vasat. Thereafter, his father, being afraid of Kamsa, brought him to the cow pastures of Maharaj Nanda. And there he lived for 11 years like a covered flame with his elder brother, Baladev. This is a beautiful verse. Like a covered flame. Why was Krishna like a covered flame? And that description is also explained in the prayers of the demigods when Lord Krishna was in the womb of Devaki. He's like a covered flame. The full potency of the Lord was not being manifest because he had not killed Kamsa. When he killed Kamsa, after he killed Kamsa, then he's no more covered flame. He's full blazing Lord, because all his pastimes were incognito. So here he's described as a covered flame with his elder brother Baladev. So interesting. So while he was in the home of Nanda Maharaj, not having killed Kamsa at the age of 11, he was like a covered flame. So
analogy.
That's the analogy. So there was no necessity of the Lords being dispatched to the house of Nanda Maharaj out of fear of Kamsa's determination to kill him as soon as he appeared. It is a business of the Asuras to try to kill the Supreme Lord, so to prove by all means that there is no God. Okay? But Nanda Maharaj, was due to receive him as child and Yashoda to enjoy his childhood's pastime. So this is explained there. Okay? In the prayers of the demigods also he is described as a covered flame. So, in the 10th canto. So here, text 27. In his childhood, the Almighty Lord was surrounded by cowherd boars and calves, and he traveled on the shore of the Yamuna river, through gardens densely covered with trees and filled with the vibrations of chirping birds. So this is, and he is now remembering the beautiful pastimes of Krishna's Yamuna Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. He was Yamuna Tira Vanachari. He was roaming in the banks of Jamuna, in the groves of Vrindavan. Gopijana Vallabha Giri Varadhari. So he was, and he remembered fondly how, they were protecting the cows, and he was giving so much nectar to all the Brajvasis, right? And the wonderful description of Vrindavan is there. So here you can read a little bit. Prabhupada goes into detail of Pralambasura, Bakasura, Agashura. He killed all these personalities, demoniac personalities. So text 28, when the Lord displayed his activities, just text 28, when the Lord displayed his activities just suitable for childhood, he was visible only to the residents of Vrindavan. So there he was a special arrangement. When he was in Vrindavan, there was a very special arrangement of the Lord of Yogamaya, because he was sheltered under Yogamaya's arrangement, that actually only the residents of Vrindavan could enjoy pastimes with him. Now, isn't that, I mean, there is a very interesting angle to this. When we know that in the spiritual world, Krishna is 16.5-year-old. But here in Bhoma Vrindavan, he does special pastimes that is bewildering to the devatas, who even have information about Lord Krishna's eternal form. And therefore they become bewildered. So very first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam explains this. Tene Brahma Hridayadi Kavaye Muhuyanti Yat Suraya Tejo Vari Mridang Jata Vinimayo, and so on. So he said even the demigods get bewildered, because that particular pastimes are of our dear Supreme Lord. It makes you cry when you think about it. It's only in Bhoma Vrindavan. Now, I don't want to put my foot or hand into fire on this, because I can never limit the Lord's pastime. But when you hear about this special dispensation, this is special pastimes of Krishna actually stealing butter, and his mother having to threaten to beat him up, tie him up, you know, beat him too, because it was a stick, whipping stick. So this is a very, very special pastime Krishna he actually gives to the earthly human beings. And these pastimes has caused immense damage to material culture, because it has caused so many people to give up material life and go back to spiritual world. So this is a very, very special pastime. It's absolutely incredible pastime. Because that's why Indra, he gets bewildered. Or that's why Brahma gets bewildered. He couldn't be the Supreme Lord. You know, he tries to steal the calves and the cowherd boys, and Indra, he tries to kill the inhabitants of Vrindavan, forcing Krishna to leave the Govardhan hill. Very special pastimes. So sometimes acharyas say these are special pastimes. Only let me just go 1 minute to my comments of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and see what he says on this. Bhagavatam. Portable VCD. Okay. Classics en dévolat, je traité ni classe là. Oh, vous êtes connu. Not very nice. So, avec content de faire la classe là. So, ami là. Ça. Je m'en ouvert mon les cameras pour attention. 1 minute, Prabhu.
Okay.
One minute, huh? I'm just trying to get the file.
It's okay. Krishna.
26, 27. Okay, so it's okay. We'll take too much time. Let's just forget about this. It's already quite deep, whatever we're talking, so we'll just leave it. It's going to take me time to find out. So we've actually discussed this text 28 now. Okay. Right. When the Lord displayed his activity just suitable for childhood, he was visible only to the residents of Vrindavan. That's a profound statement. He was visible only to the residents of Vrindavan. Sometimes he would cry and sometimes laugh, but just like a child, and while so doing, he would appear like a lion cub. So he would be very cute, very sweet, but a lion cub will just like roar. When a lion cub roars, no one gets scared, but everyone becomes, you laugh and you enjoy. So Krishna was like a small lion cub. So he was roaring, but he was like a covered flame. So he didn't develop his full. So even when he was a small child, it's a very beautiful analogy. So he says, sometimes he would cry and sometimes laugh, just like a child. And while so doing, he would appear like a lion cub. So let's read this purport. If anyone wants to enjoy the childhood pastimes of the Lord, then he has to follow in the footsteps of the residents of Vraja, like Nanda, Upananda, and other parental inhabitants. A child may insist on having something, and like anything to get it, disturbing the whole neighborhood. And then immediately after achieving the desired things, he laughs. So while such crying and laughing is enjoyable to the parents and elderly members of the family, so the Lord will simultaneously cry and laugh, and in this way merge his devotee parents in the humor of transcendental pleasure. These incidents are enjoyable only by the residents of Braja, like Nanda Maharaj, and not by the impersonalist worshippers of Brahman or Paramatma. Sometimes when attacked in the forest by demons, Krishna would appear struck with wonder, but he looked on them like the cub of a lion and killed them. So can you imagine, you can imagine a big lion killing an animal, but a small lion cub, it will look both sweet and wonderful. And that's why this example is very nice. All right, any questions or comments? We move on to text 29 otherwise. Okay, so while herding the very beautiful bulls, the Lord, who was a reservoir of all opulence and fortune, used to blow his flute, and thus he enlivened his faithful followers, the cowherd boys. So, who is remembering these pastimes?
Uddhava.
Who is Uddhava? And who is he narrating to? Vidura.
Vidura.
Please, Prabhu, find time to read. Make notes. Please, if you read and you come to the classes, it will just make so much sense to all of you, and we can really dive deep. Okay? So there you are. So text 30. The great wizards who were able to assume any form were engaged by the king of Bhoja. Right? So here the great king of Bhoja was Kamsa. Bhoja Rajena, the Bhoja dynasty. Okay? So here the great wizards means the demons who had lots of mystic power. They become huge, they become gigantic, they can fly in the sky, they can do so many wonderful feats, and they were all these mystic demons who were in the service of Kamsa. And they would want to come and kill Krishna. But in the course of his pastimes, like a small, beautiful, roaring lion cub, Krishna would kill them. And he would kill them easily as a child breaks. Just like while playing, you're playing and a child, you've given him a toy or a doll or something, and then just, he's playing and this thing just breaks. So Krishna's killing of the demons was like a child playing with dolls and then breaking them. Right. So, yes, Sarika Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, I know you're trying to go faster a little bit, but please can you recite the Sanskrit text also. It has a kind of an impression. So.
Oh no, we don't have to. We don't have to. You can read through. Otherwise, it's going to take too long. Some of the text that is important, we read. Some of them we don't. And some people actually. Otherwise, it's going to take too long, Prabhu. There's no way we can. Some of the important texts I will read. Okay, some of the text we will just go through because you've already situated yourself in this. I think I lost my file. It's okay, Sarika. We will just go on. And once you get going, then we will go faster too. Okay, where am I? Text what?
Text 30.
Text 30.
Text 30. Okay. Okay, if you want, I can read the text. It's okay. So the great wizards who were able to pursue many former engaged in the king of Bhoja, so to kill Krishna. But in course of his pastimes, the Lord killed them as easily as a child breaks dolls. So any questions on that? It's simple narrative and it's beautiful. Text 31. Vipanna vishapanena nigriha bhujagadhina dipam uthapyagpa yayat gavang tam toyam prakriti sthitam. The inhabitants of Vrindavan were perplexed by great difficulties because a certain portion of the Yamuna was poisoned by the chief of the reptiles, Kaliya. The Lord chastised the snake king within the water and drove him away. And after coming out of the river, he caused the cows to drink the water and proved that the water was again in its natural state. So more than just healing the Kaliya, he actually purified by his potency, purified the water, and it was water that was all right for drinking. So then text 32. The Supreme Lord Krishna desired to utilize the opulent financial strength of Maharaj Nanda for worship of the cows. And also he wanted to give a lesson to Indra, the king of heaven. Thus he advised his father to perform worship of Go, or the pasturing land, and the cows with the help of learned brahmanas. So this is the pastimes of Anakuta, the Govardhan Puja, right? So he's remembering how the Lord utilized the opulence of Nanda Maharaj, because that was a very opulent festival with tons and tons of bhoga in the richest ingredients, in the purest ingredient that was cooked and offered. So this is also part of the pastimes he's remembering Uddhava in his ecstasy. Text 33.
Okay, Prabhu.
Yes.
Yes, I want you to please throw more light into the bewilderment of personalities like Lord Brahma about Krishna's activity, because practically everything we know about the Supreme Lord comes from Lord Brahma. And how is it that he became so bewildered? And then again, he led the demigods to go and pray for the Lord to come down. And when the Lord was coming down, they were away. Why was he so bewildered by the activities of the Lord?
Oh, there's two ways you can look at it. First is the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You know, they are a special pastimes that he performs all the time. And the demigods never have experience of these pastimes. First of all, because these pastimes is, that is explained, only visible to the inhabitants of Vrindavan. We read that. Only the inhabitants of Vrindavan. Even those in Mathura and Dwarka, they could not know. At the later stage, you will see that the queens of Dwarka, they ask Rohini to please narrate the pastimes of the queens of Queen Nanda and Jashoda and Nanda, you know, queen and queen in Dwarka, because they had said we hear about them, snippets of it, but we don't know. So when you see the Supreme Lord acting, which is very unusual as a child, then actually they get bewildered. Now, Tene Brahma Hridayadikavayi, the knowledge of the Vedas revealed. But even then, not everything is about the Supreme Lord can be known. So he receives the Vedic knowledge, Tene Brahma Hridayadikavayi Muhyantiyat Suraya. But very, very clearly it says that even though he receives all the Vedic knowledge, Tene Brahma Hridayadikavayi, the first created being Brahma, he receives the knowledge, but immediately after, in that continuing verse of chapter 1, text 1, first canto, it says, Muhyanti Yatsuraya. Even then, the Supreme Lord, his pastimes, is actually bewildering. That is the very nature of Krishna's exquisite pastimes. And unless one is approaching these pastimes with devotion, you cannot enter into the full understanding of these pastimes. So those who are devotees, they can understand Krishna. Avajananti mam mudha manusim tanumashritam. Right? When Krishna takes him as a human being, mudhas, fools, they deride him because they think he's born in the human form. But what is it that bewilders? He says, Parambhavam avajanantu, my great transcendental nature, they don't know. Parambhavam avajanantu, mama bhuta maheshwaram. I am the super controller, Ishvara of all the planetary systems. They don't know. So it's quite a common thing for demigods not to know. Now, the reason being is also because they are karma mishra bhaktas. They're mishra bhaktas. Because they're mishra bhaktas, they want to enjoy their material positions, and they're very respectful to the Lord. They help him in his administrative services. Krishna doesn't reveal the most intimate pastimes to them. So the intimate pastimes of Vrindavan. Even Lakshmi Devi wanted to enter the rasa dance to see what it feels like to dance with Lord Krishna. So these intimate pastimes are not revealed. So it's very bewildering. So this very whole section, 15 to 24, was the bewildering activities of Supreme Lord. And the pastimes in Braja, they're even more bewildering. And Prabhupada, in the purport, you see that explanations over and over again. Okay, Prabhu?
Yeah.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, this section we're reading, Uddhava is remembering the activities of the Lord.
Yes.
Uddhava was not in Vrindavan when Krishna was performing these activities. How does he know
yes,
all of this?
Yes, okay. But the first thing is Uddhava was a close associate of the Supreme Lord. He was like he would wear Krishna's clothes. He was the same color as Krishna. He would dress like Krishna. He was like a copycat Krishna. He was in his mood, and he was actually a Prema Bhakta. So Prema Bhaktas, they get to know. Not everyone in Braja Bhakti, in Dwarka Bhakti, they were disconnected with Braja Bhakti. Rohini Devi, who is the wife of Vasudeva, they go and live in Braj, in Dwarka after 11 years, 16 years of Krishna's in Mathura. But they know, because they have witnessed, they've seen the pastimes. Rohini has seen pastimes of Krishna, right? Because they have that special relationship, they can understand and relate to the pastimes. So some people may know, but because their adhikars, their eligibility is not on that level, they do not know. So, but Uddhava, he knows because his eligibility was there. He was a pure Prema Bhakta. And Krishna would actually take Uddhava in his confidence. He would ask him his advice. Uddhava will be asked to give Krishna advice. And he said, oh, even though he knows everything, he would ask advice from me. So no, he has a special relationship. He was a Prema Bhakta, so he knows. And not just that he knows, Uddhava is asked to stay after the departure of Lord for that very purpose that he said, my activities, my pastimes, which I have performed, is for my devotees in the age of Kali. Who will tell them these pastimes if you go with me? You stay and you tell them. Huh?
That's what I wanted to hear.
Right. And if you want the reference to the verse, it's Canto 9, chapter 6, 24, text 16. Kalo janisyamananam sukadukataponudham anugrahaya bhaktanam supunyam yatano yathat. He said, I do this pastime so that my devotees in the age of Kali will know about me.
That's Canto 9, chapter.
Canto 9, 24, text 60 or 61. 60 or 61.
Canto 9,
Right.
chapter.
Yeah, he says, he doesn't say about Uddhava, but he says he does his pastime.
Yeah.
Let me get it for you. Let me get it. It's okay.
The 9th chapter.
And Lord Krishna, Sukadeva Goswami mentions Lord Krishna, he is particularly concerned about the age of Kali. Yes, 61. Kalo janisya mananam dukha sukha taponudam anugrahaya bhaktanam supunyam yatanotyatha. To show causeless mercy to the devotees who would take birth in the future, in this age of Kali, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, acted in such a way that simply by remembering him, one will be freed from all lamentation and unhappiness of material existence. In other words, he acted so that all future devotees in Africa and in Mauritius, right, by upsetting the instructions of Krishna consciousness, is stated in Gita, would be relieved from the pain. So that's why he did these pastimes. So then he left his witness. He left Uddhava. And when he told Uddhava, don't come with me now, you go. You follow my instructions. Uddhava could not stop following Krishna. He followed him. And when he followed him to Prabhasha. Krishna was about to leave his, exit his pastimes. And then he gave him Uddhava Gita. So Uddhava is a special soul. Okay.
Yeah, Prabhu.
Yes.
There is this question bothering my mind. Arjuna is situated in the level of friendship with Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu.
Uddhava also is situated on the level of friendship with Krishna. So the two, which one did Krishna really enjoy, or how did Krishna enjoy these two friends?
Yes. You see, Krishna in so the friendship of, yes, a very interesting question, and it requires caution to answer that question. I will maybe expand the scope of the question so I don't make a mistake. So the first is there's the relationship of friendship with Krishna and Arjuna. This is Sakhya Ras. But Krishna is being appreciated as a king, as a great, rich personality, part of a kingdom, Dwarka. The relationship of Krishna is as an adult Krishna who is more Dwarka Krishna. Now, Sridham, Madhumangal, they have a relationship in Sakhya Ras with Krishna as part of that friendship which is in sweetness in Vrindavan. Now, the friendship, the servitorship, because Uddhava is his servant. He's not his friend, but he's an intimate servant, to the point that he actually confides in him and asks advice from Uddhava. So Arjuna is Sakhya, Uddhava is intimate Dasya, and the Gopas in Vrindavan, they are friends. They will climb on Krishna's back. Now, there is a kind of, now, can we equate the same type of Sakhya between Arjuna and Krishna and between the cowherd boys and Krishna and Vrindavan? I cannot answer that question, Prabhu. I cannot. Okay. So we will leave it at that. I will make some research and ask Mother Urmila, and I will try to answer some other time. Okay, but obviously one thing we can deduce that there's more intimacy with the Vrindavan Leelas, right? That, and there's more, a little bit of more reverence with the Dwarka Leelas. Okay, so thank you. So, so just enlarge the scope of the question to understand more, and that what we can't understand, we will leave it, okay, and not speculate. So, 34.
I think 33.
33. Varasatindre vrajam kopat Bhagnamane tivivalah putra lilata patrena trato bhadranu prinata. O sober Vidura, King Indra, his honor having been insulted because his offering of his festival got cancelled. His festival in his name, where he would come and get the glory of being glorified by these great Vaishyas and great landowners and everyone. His festival got cancelled. So he was really feeling insulted by a little boy, 6-year-old, 5-year-old boy, 6-year-old boy. Poured water incessantly on Vrindavan, and the inhabitants of Braja, the land of cows, were greatly distressed. But the compassionate Lord Krishna saved them from the danger with his pastime umbrella, the Govardhan hill. So he's remembering the pastimes of Govardhan. Uddhava is very much connected to Krishna's pastimes. By reading through this, you can see that this is a pramana. And when you ask a question like how did he know, it's not by we tend to go to our own kind of speculative faculties to kind of answer, but actually the pramana, the proof, is a statement of the Bhagavatam. So you can say, well, there it says he knows. So that proof doesn't require other proofs. That statement of Srimad Bhagavatam as pramana doesn't require my explanation. It requires accepting because it is pramana. And Jiva Goswami establishes Srimad Bhagavatam as the topmost pramana for the Vaishnavas. Pramana means proof, evidence. So this is the proof. So he's saying it, so therefore he knows. That's enough proof. And that's why Bhagavatam is Vaishnavam Priyam. He's dear to Vaishnavas because we accept as our best friend, as our master, as our teacher, as our guide, as our lover. So this is Bhagavatam. So Bhagavatam saying, okay, Uddhava is saying this, so Uddhava knows. Okay, so text 34.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
So, yes, Prabhuji.
Please, before you go away from there, Srimad Bhagavatam, as you just said, how do you explain in relation to what you just explained, the explanation of dogma and doctrine?
Well, that is a very long answer. That is a very long answer. That answer is given by Jiva Goswami in Tattva Sandarbha.
Okay.
That is a very long answer because it's not dogma, it's not doctrine, because you have to establish dogma how do you establish dogma and how do you make it become doctrine? Is through a system and analysis of the truth that is being presented, of the facts that are being presented and analyzed from different angles. And therefore you have to go through what is considered to be pramana. Pramana means proof. So dogmas with proof becomes doctrine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So therefore, it is not dogma, it is not mythology. So dogma with pramana becomes doctrine, becomes philosophy, becomes acceptable to everyone and applicable universally. But therefore, if you want to go for the pramana, then there's 10 types of pramana. Mm-hmm. And this is the etymology of pramana that is given in Tattva Sandarbha by Srila Jiva Goswami. And he goes through all the pramanas. he goes through all the 10 types of pramana, and from there he establishes that Shabda, especially in the form of Bhagavatam, is a topmost pramana. So now,
Interesting.
okay. This is Tattva Sandarbha by Srila Jiva Goswami. So he lists, you can also go Tattva Sandarbha by our most illustrious Bhanu Swami. So he establishes a pramana. So that's a very interesting question, Prabhu, but the scope of that discussion, you see, it's a very important question, actually. Now, related to what Rasavan Prabhu asked and what Sarika Prabhu is asking. Why and how do we accept it? So that was...
Oh, there's a light off. Prabhu has a light off.
At his place.
Yeah. There's a light off. And I think his Wi-Fi is connected to the light. He's still at... Yes, please. Yes, please.
Before he comes back, I want to suggest...
He's still with us.
Suggest to...
Yeah, go ahead.
Is you suggest to Advaita Krsna Prabhu to help add unity level to his units. This is
okay. 8, 9, and 11.
Yes.
What about 10?
It's about Bara Avatar. Kavikanapura will take time.
Okay.
Yes. It's good to mix it so that we can, understand.
Enter into it properly.
Yeah, he is completely cut off, so he will come back.
So, okay. my dear Bhakti Vaibhava students, most of you have not paid your fees, and for your information, the fee will be the current value of dollar. Okay, so if you delay until it becomes 100,000 naira, it is 100,000 naira you will pay as your fee. If you delay in Ghana until it becomes 20 million, it is 20 million Ghana or 2,000 Ghana that you will pay as your fee. So the sooner you pay it, the better for you. So,
please, how much is the fee, please?
$100 alone. So we are happy that the dollar is adding more value against the local currencies. And we are happy that some of you are delaying to pay.
We are online YouTube, Chaitanya Prema. Maybe you discuss this after.
Sorry. Hare Krishna. Where is Yadunat?
He hasn't been coming.
Kamalash Prabhu.
All glory to you.
Where is Yadunat?
I left him in Port Harcourt. His vehicle had some problems in Port Harcourt when I went for the camera. I've been trying to fix it.
Yeah, so it's okay, but to let him know that the acceptable percentage of attendance is 70%, and right now it's below 50. So he should advise himself. Understand? If he doesn't want to see our decisions in the end as drastic, he should advise himself. Now,
Chaitanya Prema, please, can we discuss all of this later, or else I'll go offline?
It's okay. Thank you very much. I go now.
Hello.
It's all part of it, but I will stop for.
Yeah, because people will go online to watch this video, this class. It is not just... People will still go to online to read, to listen to this class. So,
but won't you pause the online aspect of it for now? Or there'll be long pause. Long pause.
if unless I stop this, if I stop it, I will have to record it. Then the remaining part of the lecture will not captured.
Okay, then you should be playing some bhajans now.
Yes, that's
so
what I want
that
to do. Yes, I'll do that just now so that.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna, Shalika Prabhu.
Saliji.
Have to turn the Prabhupada song off.
Saliji Prabhu. Prabhu is back, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, you're welcome back.
Yes. Oh, I don't know how to get into this. Wait, just wait.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, just wait. I mean, you know, when we lose data, then when you put the video on, it actually gets worse. So please don't do that because it just makes it worse. When you put the video and the songs on, it becomes worse because you lose data. Because everyone has got weak. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Can you see me? I don't know how to do it any better.
Yeah, you're okay. We can see you.
Okay. Right. Okay.
It's not as bright as before, though, but we can see you.
Yeah, this is my phone. So I don't know how long it will last because there's no electricity just got cut off from me.
Yeah, I can see that.
Right. Okay. So we will not be able to. So the pramana, there's 10 types of pramana, and this has been dealt by Jiva Goswami. So the whole Sandarbha establishes Srimad Bhagavatam as the pramana for the Vaishnavas, and this is done in Tattva Sandarbha, which is called Vaishnava epistemology and ontology. So he does that. He establishes pramana. And there, maybe Chaitanya Prem Prabhu has also followed that course. As the IHG, we follow these courses. So that is established by Jiva Goswami. And that was his main seva and his main service, establishing command. Okay. So we will not get into that, but that is established. And for people who are into ontology and really understanding the importance of this philosophy, this doctrine, why do we accept it, and so on and so forth. This is the subject matter of Tattva. Okay, so now text 34, the last verse. Sarachasi karer mishtam manayang rajani mukham dhayan kalapadam remi mandala mandanaha. In the third season of the year, the Lord enjoys. The third season of the year is the Sharat season, the autumn season. And in the third season of the year, the Lord enjoyed as the central beauty of the assembly of women by attracting them with his pleasing song in an autumn night, autumnal season, heightened by moonshine. So this is a rasa. So before leaving the land of cows, Vrindavan, the Lord pleased. That was his last pastime, the Rasa Lila time. Before leaving the land of cows, Vrindavan, the Lord pleased his young girlfriend, the transcendental Gopi, in his Rasa Lila pastime. Here Uddhava stopped the descriptions of the Lord's actions. Right? So he went as far as this, and he stopped explaining about the description of the Lord actions. So then the next chapter would be the Lord's pastime out of Vrindavan. So he goes back to the other pastime. So he went all the way to explaining the Govardhan pastime, pastimes of killing the demons, the pastimes of Nanda Maharaj, Yashoda, and all the way up to the Rasa age of 16 and a half, the Shaurya age of the Lord. And then as an adult, he arranges for the transfer of his whole kingdom from Mathura to Dwarka. It's so nice. I just want to go and read. Yeah. So anyway, I'm getting a nice opportunity to speak about, read and speak about it. It's very good. So this brings to the end the Bhaktivedanta purport and explanation chapter of third canto, second chapter of Bhagavad, which was entitled Remembrance of Lord Krishna, and mostly explanation by Uddhava of his remembrance. So we have half an hour more. So let's go over some questions and comments. Hopefully that you are quite have your Bhagavatam, have your notebook, and have your please take the notes, and you can listen to the recording. I think Prabhu will upload the recording, and you can listen to the recording again. It is generally sometimes required. So we end chapter 3. We'll start with chapter 2. Now we start with chapter 3. This is the Lord's pastime out of Vrindavan. Okay. So it moves on to another section. So we read text 1. Uddhava uvacha tatha sagatya puram sapitro vikirshaya sambaladeva samhita nipatya tungadripuyutthatham atam vyakarshad jasumojars ojasor sorab ojaso vyam, very difficult. So Sri Uddhava said, thereafter Lord Krishna went to the Mathura city with Sri Baladev. So he moved from Vrindavan to Mathura city with Sri Baladev. And to please their parents, they dragged Hamsa, the leader of public enemies, down from his throne and killed him, pulling him along the ground with great strength. So Krishna, he was only 11 years old, and to please his parents, he dragged Kamsa, the leader of the public enemy, down from his throne and killed him, pulling him along the ground with great strength. So he was a very powerful demon, but Krishna disposed of him like nothing. And this is his pastimes in Bhakti. So let's read through the verses in the purport. So King Kamsa's death is only described here briefly because such pastimes are vividly and elaborately described in the 10th canto. The Lord proved to be a worthy son of his parents even at the age of 16. Both brothers, Lord Krishna and Lord Baladev, went to Mathura from Vaibhava and killed their maternal uncle, who had given so much trouble to the parents, Vasudeva and Deva. Kamsa was a giant, great giant, and Vasudeva Devaki never thought that Krishna and Balaram would be able to kill such a great and strong enemy. When the two brothers attacked Kamsa, their parents feared that now Kamsa would finally get the opportunity to kill their son, whom they had hidden for so long. Hiding for so long in the house of Nanda Maharaj. The parents of the Lord, due to parental affection, felt extreme danger, and they almost fainted just to convince them that they had actually killed Kamsa. Krishna and Balaram pulled Kamsa's dead body along the ground to entertain. So not just that he killed Kamsa, he dragged his body along the ground. They make a display of their powers. Sandipane sakrit proktam brahmaditya savistaram tasmai pradadvaram putram matram mritam pancha janodharat. The Lord learned all the Vedas with the different branches simply by hearing them from his Sandipani, whom he rewarded by bringing back his dead son from the region of Yamaloka. So they went to study with Sandipani Muni in Ujjain, in Avantikapuram. And there, Sandipani Muni with his wife, they were acting as teachers, and as Gurukul teachers. And this is a very interesting point. One of my senior teachers indicated that most Gurukul teachers teach together with their wives to assist the children in a motherly way. And you will hear also that many senior, very in the culture or Vedic culture, you have grihasthas who hold gurukuls, they hold position of guru and teacher and train everyone, the Brahmana grihasthas. So here Sandipani Muni is doing that service with his wife. So then they know that these two students of mine, they're very illustrious. So when it came to asking something in terms of the Guru Dakshin, his wife said that you can't just ask, small Guru Dakshin from them, because look at them, they are very powerful people. They are great personalities, and you have them as our students here. So to honor Krishna and Balaram, Sandipani Muni asked something quite impossible. He said, once we went to Prabhasha and then one demon from the sea demon actually caught hold of my son, and we could not recuperate our sons. So can you please, as a Guru Dakshin, retrieve our son from Samudra? So that's a big Guru Dakshin. And Krishna was very happy with his spiritual master Sandipani Muni. So that was the Guru Dakshin that he was asked to give. So he went, and he went to the abode of Samudra, Varundev, and the teacher, his son was there, and he had been imprisoned by this demon or some demon. I think Panchajan, I forgot, but I have to read again. So the Lord, he brought the dead son, so to speak, of Sandipani Muni back, and that is being explained here. So he said, the Lord learned all the Vedas and Sandipani Muni, whom he rewarded by bringing by his dead son from the region of Yamalok. So text 3. Attracted by the beauty and fortune of Rukmini, the daughter of King Bhishmaka, many great princes and kings assembled to marry her. But Lord Krishna, stepping over the other hopeful candidates, carried her away as his own share, as Garuda carried away nectar. So the kidnapping of Rukmini, the daughter of Bhishmaka, was actually she's actually goddess of fortune. So she was rescued because Shishupal was selected as her bridegroom by Rukmini's elder brother, it was Rukma. But actually Rukmini had sent a love letter to Krishna saying that I have lost my heart, my mind to you by hearing about your wonderful qualities. I remember the poem, but it's going to take a long time. So it's so therefore Krishna rescued Rukmini. So these are pastimes outside of Vrindavan. So I will stop today a little bit earlier because I am actually quite the Kadashi, and so we will do a few more. We will go up to text 8, 9, and then we will stop. Okay. So that will be Krishna's education and marriages here. Here it talks about text 1 to 9, talks about Krishna's education and marriages. Okay. So we will read the text 4. By subduing 7 bulls whose nose were not pierced, the Lord achieved the hand of Princess Nagnajiti in the open competition to select a bridegroom. Although the Lord was victorious, his competitors asked the hand of the prince, and there was a fight, well equipped with weapons. The Lord killed or wounded all of them, but he was not hurt himself. So please, as a homework, just find out a little bit more about this pastime of Princess Nagnajiti and how the Lord achieved the hand of that princess. And some of you can relate that pastime for a few minutes. Take a note. I want that homework done. Okay. Then text 5. Just to please his dear wife, the Lord brought back the Parijata tree from heaven. So just as an ordinary husband would do, the king of heaven, induced by his wife's henpecked as he was, so why induced by his wife, henpecked as his wife, ran after the Lord with full force to fight him. So Indra's wives were not happy when Krishna went up to Swarga and tried to and get the Parishata flower. He also took Sudharma whole at some other point. So this pastime is also very nice. Someone can also make a few notes, read the pastime and narrate it for 5 minutes next time. So then, you know, I mean, I'm not sure who's going to be the person who narrates it, but you can read through. That will give us some something to study about. Then text 6, I will go into detail more over this if you have to. So Narakasur was the son of Dharitri, the earth, and tried to grasp the whole sky. And for this he was killed by the Lord in a fight. So his mother then prayed to the Lord. This led to the return of the kingdom of the son of Narakasur, and thus the Lord entered the house of the demon. So here it is said that the Narakasur was the son of Dharitri, the earth, by the Lord himself as Varahadev. So Narakasur was the son of Lord Varahadev and Dhatari, which is Prithvi, earth planet. But he became a demon due to bad association of Bhanasur. Right? So then the Lord had killed Narakasur and rescued thousands of princes. And the Lord had to get the permission of Satyabhama to kill, because he was related to Rukmini. He was related to, to Dhatri, to Prithvi. So that's also a beautiful pastime. So you can make a few notes on that. And text 7. There in the house of the demon, all the princesses kidnapped by Narakasura at once became alert upon hearing the Lord. So there was not just one or two, there was thousands of princesses. And the Lord heard their plea. Now we've been spoiled or made impure by the touch of this demon who wanted to marry us. Now who's going to marry us? So the Lord agreed to offer them shelter, and he allowed them to be his wife. And they were they looked upon him with eagerness, joy, and shyness, and offered to be his wives. So he's remembering all these beautiful pastimes leading up to the Dwarka Leela. So then text 8, all those princesses were lodged in different apartments, and the Lord simultaneously assumed different bodily expansions, exactly matching each other and every princess. So he accepted their hands in perfect rituals by his internal potency. So the Lord accepted the same form, and this is called, this is a very interesting thing is explained here, that when the Lord is in his Swayam Rupa form, he expands himself into many different, he's called Swayam Prakash, right? And then from the Swayam Prakash, it goes into Vaibhava form and Prakasha form. Next week, I will show you a small diagram about this different, from the Swayam Rupa to Swayam Prakash to Vaibhava forms and Prabhava forms and the Chaturvyuha forms and Narayana forms and all the different beasts of incarnation, how these forms of the Lord come up, and right? So next week we will give you that, and we will encapsulate. So next week what we'll do is each of you will talk about some of the small pastimes, just 5 minutes. The pastimes of Nagnajiti, the pastimes of Krishna marrying Rukmini, the pastimes of Krishna killing the Narakasura demon. All right? And furthermore, we will describe the different forms of the Lord, how he relates to the 16,108 queens in Dwarka. And we will explain the philosophy behind that type of form of the Lord in this diagram that I will share with you next week. So the last verse in this section, which describes Krishna's education. Also, there is Krishna's education with Sandipni Muni in Avantikapuram, and he is rescuing the son of Sandipni Muni. Then there is marriage of Nagnajiti. Then there is a killing of Narakasura, and so on. Please read this pastime. And the stealing of the Parachita flower from the kingdom of Indra. Okay? Read them. The pastimes are there in Krishna book. Please read them. So then the Lord, he is begetting children in each of the queen, 10 offspring. So which means that children had 100, the Lord has 160,000 sons. Okay? So we will end here. If you have any questions for a few minutes, we will answer. And now we are doing our 20 verses. Hare Krishna. Yes.
No, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, please.
Yes.
Could you please elucidate us a little on the subject matter of this? Sadipadmoni was teaching the two lords, Balaram and Krishna, as his students. So,
yeah.
One, the Sadipadmoni knows that the conclusion of all these teachings are these students before him. And then the students themselves, do they also are aware that all what they are learning from their master, they themselves are the conclusion?
Probably the question is in this Srimad Bhagavatam, because these are the Lord, why he's remembering these pastimes, the mood of Uddhava is bewildering. That the Lord, he has an understanding of the Lord now, his full potency. But then he's remembering, how is it that he went to study? Therefore, how is it that he did such and such activities? Because the Lord's pastimes in society, in the material creation, is actually under the control of Yogamaya. And Yogamaya does not allow unduly the identity of the Lord to be revealed, and therefore spoil the possibility of the pastimes of the Lord. Yeah. So can you imagine if Mother Yashoda is trying to tie Krishna? She has an incredible amount of love and affection for Narayan, an enormous amount of respect for Narayan. Every time Krishna gets into some trouble, she prays to Lord Narayan, please respect, please protect my son. Can you imagine suddenly Yogamaya reveals Krishna is Narayan? She will probably fall unconscious and collapse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. There's another question too. Now, the son of Sandipadimuni, such an exalted spiritual master, how is it that his son is a sinful person that has to go to Yamaraj?
Yeah. Well, when we say that a personality like that goes to the planet of death, does not necessarily mean that he is in Yamalok suffering hellish conditions. All death, the death department, the funeral department, is actually in the hands of Yamaraj. Does not mean that he is just a punisher. If you're a VIP person, right, for Krishna, you're an important devotee, or you're an important, pandit, or you're going to be reborn again. Then when you go to the kingdom of Yamaraj, you are dealt with different. Different peoples are dealt with differently. What we hear is the Yamadutas punishing the sinful. But if people are not sinful and they're being prepared to the next birth, they don't have to undergo punishment. But the person who takes charge of transferring one soul to from one body to another is still Yamaraj.
Actually, this is new to me.
Yes. It's still Yamaraj. Okay, Prabhu, we'll stop here. Thank you so much. Lord Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Advaita Krishna Prabhu.
So just a recap. Next week we will finish chapter 3. So all that you have to do, please read the whole chapter 3. It's not a long chapter, it's only 28 verses. And we are left with 18 verses. So we will recap the pastime by your own narrations. And then we will go over the discussions of Krishna, killing of demons and Kurukshetra war, then Krishna in Dwarka, and events leading to the annihilation of the Yadus, which will end chapter 3 next on Wednesday. Be on time and we can complete that.
Okay, thank you very much, Prabhuji. We appreciate your time and in-depth explanations to most of the questions. We pray that Guru and Krishna will strengthen and continue to increase your wisdom and give you strong health to guide us.
Yes, Sharika, we're also celebrating the first year of my severe illness. Last November, I was very, very ill. And I never thought I'd survive, but it was the prayers of so many wonderful devotees I survived. I was actually on oxygen for 2.5 months.
Wow.
From November till, mid-November, full December, and then third week of January, I was on oxygen. So Krishna saved me by the prayers of all of you wonderful Vaishnavas and devotees in Vrindavan, devotees in Mauritius, those who I serve as students. I'm still your servant, even though you're my student. So thank you for praying for me. And I do wish to live a little bit longer so I can share if I die. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Kripa Sindhu.
Jakarta Desa Kripa Sindhu Vaishava Patitanampa Vaishnavyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namah. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare Ram,
Ram,
Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Ram.
Advaita Krishna Prabhu ki Jai.
Jai.
Vaishnava Thakur ki Jai. Jai Gaura Premanande.